What's up, everybody? This is your man, DJ Square Knot, and you're tuned into my podcast, Square Knot Live, where we talk about music, real issues, meet great people, and get into fun and engaging topics. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, y'all. What's up, Antoinette? How you doing? I see you. What's up, y'all? Of course, this is your man, DJ Square Knot, and I welcome you guys to my podcast. I've taken off a couple weeks, but I am back, and this is Square Knot Live. I was earlier today showing an example of the fact that we are now on Alexa. If you go to Alexa and you either ask for Square Knot Live podcast, or you better yet, you do Alexa, tune in podcast Square Knot Live, and then I'll come up with the latest episodes, and then it'll just back it on down to the first. But the topic I have today came about during our last podcast, and in thinking about all the stuff that's been going on, and thinking about everything that you see in the streets, everything that you see in the news, it just made me wonder about a few things, and really start to have you really do some real thinking about yourself, as well as the individuals around you. Of course, you know, systemic racism is everywhere, and it's been out there for a while, but it just seems like this administration has really set it up to make it that it was okay. I can't tell you the number of people since this president has been in office where people have really gotten bold. You know, I've experienced racism myself. My wife just recently experienced racism in a Walmart parking lot. And it's just one of those things, you know, and it's really, really like people have the notion that it's okay. And, you know, I always say, you can say whatever you want to say to me as long as you don't put your hands on me, you know, so that's pretty much it with that. But the thing that gets me is that these same people that are out there preaching or saying, you know, calling you the N-word, or and vice versa, you know, us calling, you know, other races, whatever names, we'll do that. And then in the same breath, we'll say, I'm a Christian. And the part that gets me about that is, I'm not saying that I'm a Bible scholar. By no means am I a Bible scholar. But I thought the Bible was designed around love, and it was designed around brotherhood and sisterhood. And then there's a part about we're all God's children. If we're all God's children, no matter what color we are, He made us. So, which means that we're all, in essence, in that field of Christianity or whatever religion you believe you're in. We're all brothers and sisters. So, why do we beat each other down with all the words and then go as to so far as violence over the color of skin? And then, you know, not only opposite colors, but for example, like black on black crime, white on white crime, you know, whatever it may be. It just really is mind boggling to me for that to be the case. And I know I probably won't get a lot of people to chime in on this today. But, you know, as I sit back and think about a lot of things, I tend to, you know, push the envelope a little bit. So when it comes to this, let's think about God for a second before we move into the Constitution. Let's think about this. I remember back when President Obama was elected, And a lot of people were like, oh, he's in there, the black people put him in there and stuff like that. But it wasn't only black people that voted for President Obama. It was a universal act. It was a universal act of people just really just getting, just wanted something new, wanted a change, and it happened. Be glad about it, because it shows that at least for that moment in our time in the nation's history, that we could accept change. We could do something besides the norm. And then on top of that, for this man to be in office and absolutely have no support from either side, the Senate or the House, it just really was terrible. But, it is what it is. But then we get a new, unexpected president. He didn't even realize that he was going to be president himself. He was surprised, and when he got elected. But then all of a sudden, something just totally changed. And especially after he had mentioned the thing about he could just walk out in the street and shoot someone and no one would say anything. That was like one of the triggers to people who had this underlying closet type feeling about other people, that they could open up the doors and just let Pandora's box just be free. Everything, all the content within it just be free. Now, I'm not saying that, be closed about it or whatever. I'd rather know what you think about me instead of, hiding it behind the scenes. But going to the extent of where you feel that you are just bold enough to do the things that you do is just outrageous. And to see that we have a leader who is supposed to be a leader for all, be only a leader for some, really has really blown my mind. And it has caused so much havoc. And then you got, he calls himself the justice and order president or whatever. But how can you do that when there's so much violence? The violence since he's been in office has been far more than anything the past 3 presidents alone have had in their administrations. And I'm bringing this part up to tie this into the whole God thing, because these people that are out there that's doing that, and I'm talking about everybody. I'm not only talking about white. I'm not only talking about black. I'm talking about everybody. You go and do all this damage, and then you say that you're a Christian. You're going to be sitting up in church the next day, praising Jesus, praising God, praising whoever your higher power is. But then the next day you want to go and kill somebody or do another act of racism and call it good. How can you live with yourself that way? How can you say that you are truly a Christian? Just like the president said it was fake news, that's fake Christianity to me. If you want to be real about your religion and you want to be real about, just being a good person, be a good person. Love your fellow brother and sister. If you have a problem with them, sit down and say, hey, you know what? Let's have a conversation. Let's sit down to the table and have a conversation to see if we can work some things out. I know this is a dream, but just imagine what that would be like if we could actually do that instead of all the violence. The prompts that have been made to just totally amplify the mood, negative mood of how things are, and acts of how things are has been crazy. Gun sales have been up like enormously for the purpose of that Second Amendment. And even in the Second Amendment, as I'll talk about the Constitution in a minute. I'm going to read that to you. But if you are God's children and you are talking about you are religious and you are a Christian, ask yourself the question, should you be out here shooting people? Should you be out here doing negative things or negative acts towards people? Because I don't see that anywhere in the Bible where that is. Solid Professor, I see you, my man. I just don't see it. I just don't understand it. I am really perplexed at the fact that we have to live in a country which is supposed to be the best country in the world. And if there are any veterans on here, they'll back me up when I say this. When we traveled across country, and like me, I've traveled to 14 different countries outside of the United States. I've served both on the East Coast and the West Coast in the United States Navy. Loved it. It was great. But there were times, I'm a Gulf War veteran, there were times when there were things that that really, really touched me with the work that we had to do. But just visiting different countries and seeing how the cultures are and seeing the restrictions that they have and how certain things were, and that's the way it was, no ifs, ands, or buts. And seeing how we here in the United States take things for granted to the point where we disregard our own people, our own, and when I say own people, I'm talking about Americans. I'm not talking about this thing that we always call ourselves white and black and all that, because we are a laughing stock overseas. When people say, where are you from? And they go, oh, I'm Italian. Oh, where are you from? I'm African. I'm from Kenya. Where are you from? I'm from Denmark. I'm Danish. You know, where are you from? I'm from Ireland. I'm Irish. And then they say, where are you from? I'm black. I'm white. What? There's no such nationality. There's no such thing. But in this country, we have somehow instituted this thing to separate and divide us. It's just like in London. When you go there and you see English, you see English people who are white, who are black, who are all other Asian, whatever it may be. But they say, I'm English. We don't do that. We don't do that. We can't look at ourselves as anything but the color of our skin. And for the record, black people, I don't know where that came from. Because if you look at me right now and you look at the color of my skin, I'm not black. So this is the thing that I'm trying to tell you. We need to really do better in this country as it relates to how we treat ourselves and how we treat each other, because we're supposed to be all God's children. And if we're Christians, as a lot of them preach, I'm Christian. I love the Lord. I'm God. I'm a God. I'm a law-abiding and God-fearing citizen. Really? But then I see you ready to shoot an innocent person, you know, underlying things with the stuff that has happened with police officers who have been out there, who have had underlying racial tendencies, you know, acts and things in their heart forever, and pulling over black people, as of course we have to say the people of color. Let me say that, people of color. Whether that, because that will cover us, that'll cover Mexican, that'll cover Chinese, whoever, but mainly us. Pull us over. And if we remotely even say, hey, you know, why are you pulling me over? They all of a sudden they go from 10 to 100. But I can show you a video right now, and I will share this video where there was this white guy that was screaming and yelling at this white cop. I mean, holding up, putting his hands all in his face and everything. And he never touched him. All he told him, he said, get back in the car. That was it. That was it. Now, had that been a person of color, he probably wouldn't have made it home. And the question you got to ask yourself is why? Because if you feel that if you are Christian, if you believe in God, if you feel that if you really saying that you're not a racist or any of that, then it wouldn't be that way. Me, my mom, God rest her soul. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I can't say this enough. She always told us, she said, you do not look at a person and judge a person by the color of their skin. You judge them by the way they treat you. And that made perfect sense to me because I had all different color friends out there, and we had a blast. We had an absolute blast, and I loved them. I loved them. They loved me. We didn't care. That's what I loved about New York City. It was, I don't know what it's really like now because I haven't been there in a while, but it was a melting pot. And what we mean by melting pot, meaning all different flavors was in that pot. Everyone was getting along. Everyone was doing everything together. Sure, you had those that, for a minute, there were certain things. There's always going to be that. But for the most part, you could have fun without looking at the color of a person's skin. Come down to the South, a whole different ball of wax. And you can ask people that call people of color the N-word and say, hey, why do you call me that? And they'll go, because you are. And I'll say, okay. Well, explain to me where that word originated from and what it really means. And guess what? They can't answer it. I can, but they can't. You know why? Because it was taught to them by their parents, who was taught to them by their parents, and so on and so forth. Because I've already said this, and I'm going to make a T-shirt that says one thing. I saw Jazzy Jeff wear this shirt, and I still haven't made this shirt yet, but I'm going to wear this shirt. Racism, you're not born with it. It is taught. So if you're a God-fearing citizen, if you love God and you call yourself a Christian, you will not instill that garbage, that negativity into your seed and let them grow up with that. My wife has been in situations where she has taught children. And then when the children are there with her, they love on her, everything. And then my wife has seen some of these kids and they say, oh, Miss Wilson, Miss Wilson. And the parents will say, come on. And the kid is crying and bawling, just crying, looking out the window, just bawling. And she's like, oh, maybe I'll see you next time. And the kid yells out the window, I can't talk to you, Miss Wilson. My dad and mom say I can't talk to you. What? All because she's a person of color? This woman has had a major impact on so many people, so many children who I've personally been with her and see these people who are now adults walk up to her in tears of all colors, walk up to her in tears, coming to hug her, not now, of course, but before this pandemic, coming to hug her and just thank her for what she did to help them get through to the point to where they are right now. That's what that's about. That's about helping people and loving people and showing them the right way, getting them to the point where they can make good, honest decisions about their lives. But when you try to instill this negative, this poison into your child, and then they're growing up seeing these different things, it is truly, truly a sad situation. Sarah Mathis, it should be like that right now. It should. And she said, it is so sad. And that's the honest to God truth. It is sad. So if you don't pick up anything else from this conversation that I'm having with you today, I ask you one thing. I don't care what color you are. Re-examine yourself for a minute. Re-examine yourself for a minute and ask yourself this one question. Have you been treating people wrong just because of the color of their skin? And be honest with yourself when you say it. When you be totally honest with yourself when you say it. And if the answer is yes, ask for forgiveness and then fix it. Because for every person that fixes that situation, we can do this shirt that I saw Jazzy Jeff wear one day. And that shirt said, #eracism. I will make that shirt and I'm going to wear that shirt because I believe that we can do it as a people, as a human race, as Americans. I don't care what color you are. It can be done. We just have to believe in it and make it happen, because we can't depend on this administration or any political affiliate or of any sort to make it happen, because soon as money is involved, it's a wrap. So let's just do that. And then to me, when you say that you're truly a Christian and I know that you're treating me genuinely, and I can call you my brother and you could call me your brother, or I can call you my sister and you could call me however, I can salute you and I can say thank you. And with honest to God love in my heart, I can say I accept you and you accept me. Let's do something together. Let's build together. That's all about what I like to hear when it comes to you talking about God. I'm not the most super duper Bible thumping religious type person in the world. I have a great relationship with my God. But I tell you one thing for sure. When it comes to the things that I see, I will call it out like I see it. So when you say that you're a Christian, and I know that you're out there totally doing something wrong, and you are participating and you are contributing to the systemic racism out here, I got to call a spade a spade. That's all I'm saying. Now, tying into the whole God thing, you got so many people that'll say, I'm a Christian and I'm this and I'm that, and and I got the Constitution and it's my God-given right to have to bear arms. Yes, it is your God-given, it is your constitutional right to bear arms. And you know what? I'm going to read exactly what that says so that we know what the deal is there. So I'm going to go down to the amendments and I'm going to read this. Let's go to Amendment 2. It says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, basically, that means no one can take away your right to own a weapon. Now, I also went to the Senate.gov. The Senate.gov, and I pulled this piece of the Constitution. And I'm going to read you what it says next to Amendment 2. And that's because of all the stuff that's going on. So I'm going to read this to you as soon as this comes up so that you'll understand exactly what this is doing to this country. When we have people who feel, you know what, I can bear arms, I can do this, I can do that. And yes, I'm talking in like a country voice because I see it mostly in the South. Not saying that it's not up north, but I hear it all the time down here, and it's just amazing to me. Just truly, truly amazing to me. So here we go. Amendments. Again, I'm going to read this to you again. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, On the left side, it says whether this provision protects the individual's rights to own firearms or whether it deals only with the collective right of the people to arm and maintain a militia is strongly debated. Let that soak in for a minute. And this came from Senate.gov. You can go get the PDF yourself. Why do you think they put that there? They put that there because so many people are using, let's put it, they're using the Second Amendment as an excuse. It is my right to bear arms. And then what do you go get? You'll get a full-blown military type rifle. The only people that should have those types of rifles, in my personal opinion, is the military. I look at it like this. When hunting season comes around, you have to there's two types of hunting seasons from my understanding. And if I'm wrong about this, I want you guys to make sure that you correct me, because I want you guys to inject your input on this. And if you want to come in on this Zoom call with me, I can send you the link and you can pop in here and we can have the conversation. But otherwise, you please type in the chat. Pedro Flores, he fully agrees to what I've been saying thus far with the way things are. It makes perfect sense. I'm just going off of the research that I have done myself before I'm coming here to present this to you, and then putting it out here so that you guys can think a little bit. Because like I said, Square Not Live is a podcast that is real, thought-provoking, and fun. And these past several ones have been real and thought-provoking. And that's the key. I want you guys to understand where I am with this. I just want someone should be able to say to you, hey, think about this. Think about your actions for a minute. And most of all, think about who you are. Think about who you are. If you're that individual that I explained, that you have all this underlying racism and all this other thing, and I keep going back to racism because racism has really tore this country up, especially since this administration has come into play. And I got a few words about that at the end. So, but examine yourselves. But going back to the Constitution, people use that Second Amendment right for the purpose of just total excuse. Now, when you hunt, from my understanding, you have handgun season, bow and arrow, and shotgun or rifle. You don't see hunters laying down animals with an AR-15 or any type of fully automatic weapon. Because if you do, then it's not really a sport. It's not really a sport. But I could be wrong. If I am wrong, I want you guys to chime in. Debbie Brown says, brilliant, honest truth. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, but you'll go to a store, you'll go to a gun store and buy an AR-15 to lay down a man or a woman. And I just have this thing about men who shoot women. Man. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to put this out there like this. I am an avid gun lover, just so that you know where I am on this. I love guns. I own several. I own a lot, to the point where my wife has said, do you really need another? All different kinds, but none of them are fully automatic like that. But the thing is this. No one can come and tell me guns kill people. Number one. Guns aid in killing people. But you know who kill people? people kill people. And you know why people kill people? Because they don't think first. Think about that. If, like back in the day, how many times have you seen, how many times have you seen movies that give messages of, like Friday was a good example. You don't need a gun. Use these. Like back in the day, when I was coming up, this is all we use right here. Because we duke it out, right? After we duked it out, whoever won, won. And we shook hands. There was a respect built there, and no one picked at each other. And then the next thing you know, those guys are rolling together. That's what it was. It wasn't these things where I got a gun and I'm getting ready to blow you out, blow you away now. Because think about this. You pick up a gun to lay somebody out. Now you have done something and you don't even realize what you have done. And I'm going to tell you what that is. And Wendell Newkirk said, when the Second Amendment was written, the musket was the weapon of choice. True, facts. And it says, Sarah Mathis says, it's all right to have them for the protection and not for harm. Facts. DJ Black Rob said, amen. And then the gun is made to kill. That is a fact. It is made to kill. But the gun is when it's designed to kill, but for protection purposes. That's what that's designed for. If it's related to humans. Now, in terms of back in the day, when you had to go out and you had to hunt, that's the way you had to get your food. You know, especially large game. That's the way you had to get your food. But people now hunt people with guns. How many times have you seen on the TV since this administration? I keep saying it over and over. We've seen a lot of stuff on this. And if you guys can't really admit that, you're just blind to the fact. And it's not the fact that there's a Democrat or a Republican, independent or whatever. This is just known facts of what is today. When you see all this mess on TV of literally people going to hunt other people so that they can kill them, that's a problem. And then from the leadership side, it's not addressed. That's a problem. Instead, there's an excuse to why. That's a problem. Law enforcement. I remember back in the day when one of my good buddies, who's now is a detective on the force, he told me back in the day, long time ago. He said, man, if you pulled your gun and it wasn't for a absolute good reason, you were done. You had to use your training. You had to learn how to here's a good word for y'all now. You ready for this word? De-escalate the situation. Do I need to say that again? De-escalate the situation. I'm a concealed carry. Several other people conceal carry. When we go through the course, they tell us they're going to hold us at a higher charge if we just go out here and shoot someone, because we've had the training to know how to de-escalate the situation. So why does a cop not have to do the same thing? You got a lot of these guys who were bullied in school when they were coming up or whatever, and they become cops and they got that badge, they got that gun on their side, and now they want payback. And then you got those who buy guns and hide behind the Second Amendment right, and the next thing you know, all this stuff is going on, and then they go and do damage, and then they're protected by today's system. See, that's why I couldn't be a politician or a judge, because I'm not going to judge you by your color of your skin. I'm going to judge you by the offense. And you come in my court and I know that you killed someone just because you felt that you could and you were going to be protected by the system, I'd have your ass. I'm going to put it to you plain. Because that wouldn't happen. And as soon as you start doing that, if you get more judges to do that, let me tell you, things would start happening very quickly to the point where people would start to think before they start pulling the trigger. People would think before they even pull it out the holster. North Carolina is an open carry state, so it's nothing new. So you can carry your weapon out in the open. And for us that are concealed carry, we have that extra right to conceal it. But you would definitely think twice. Definitely think twice if you knew you had that kind of those types of judges out there that would handle you. But because of the administration that's out there today, and because of the whole political scene that's out there, a lot of these judges are in these systems, are supporting these things that are going on with this current administration, and it's making it really bad for the rest of the country. Now, I know it seems like I'm bashing the president, and hey, I'm just calling a spade a spade. If I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Tell me something that you are not seeing yourself, because if you're not seeing it yourself, then that means that you're playing a blind eye to reality. That's all I'm saying. Exactly. Sarah Mathis said, police officers should be held accountable for their actions. And I said the first thing that you should do when it comes to a police officer who acts, what's the word I'm looking for? Totally out of the order of what a real police officer is. And there's plenty of real police officers. Don't get me wrong. There are some great police officers out there. Shout out to several of them that I know. But there are a ton of them out there that's making it bad for the whole daggone pot. And all those officers like that, don't send them home. Don't send them home with pay. When they are suspended, have them lose everything. Everything. And once you make an example like some of these judges that in the systems do, they make judges of people of color, make examples of people of color for absolutely no reason, which I've also seen. You start doing that with these officers that are doing the wrong things like that, people will start to say, whoa, they will start to think before they pull those guns out. They'll pull their tasers out. Or they may just say, hey, I'm not going to put my hands on you. I'm not going to do anything. All I want you to do is just lower your voice and let's just have a conversation. That's all I want to do. Let's just have a conversation. Now, if the person that you're talking to decides they want to get violent, then you handle your business. You got to. That's part of protecting and serving and doing what you got to do to protect your public or whatever it may be. That, hey, I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is when you pull over someone and they tell you that they're a concealed carry and you shoot them and they don't even have their gun or anything and you shoot them. What I have a problem with is someone that's walking through a park and you stop them because of the color of their skin, because quote unquote, they looked suspicious, like they didn't belong there. And they wound up getting killed at your hand as an officer. That's a problem. Because then the questions I always ask, which I don't understand to this day, is what does you don't look like you belong here look like? But then we hide behind this Constitution. You know, going back to the Constitution with people that say, it's my Second Amendment right to bear arms, so I'm gonna walk down the street with my AR-15. Here in Raleigh, you had a whole bunch of people walking around with AR-15s. I guess they call themselves, it was a show of force or whatever. And they said, if these protesters come over here, we gonna shoot them. Isn't that premeditated? But they would have been protected because of the different administration and the different things that were told to them, which is why they decided to do it. You know, that does not make sense to me. That just does not make sense to me, because we're all one people. And if we're all one people, we should never, ever have to worry about anything like that. Never. Robert said that's the way it should be going now. Yeah, exactly. It should be like that. And Sarah said they should be held accountable for their actions. Deborah says yes, meditated, absolutely. And Sarah Mathis says Trump is the cause of everything that's happening with racism in this particular day and time. That's her words. And you know what? I have to agree. When the top is corrupt, then the others will follow. Exactly. Because you have leaders and you have the followers. And if no one is bold enough to step in and say, ho, 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 and go and talk to this cat and say, yo, chill out. You're doing too much up here. We need to block these people and not let them see this crap that you're doing. Because when you go, how many times have you watched a news show on Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, all these different channels? Not only because everybody say, well, it won't on Fox News, but yes, it was. When people say, hey, we tell him not to do this and he don't listen. Whoa. And for you guys that don't know, the Senate and the House, they have all the power. The president is the figurehead, but they have the power. But they allow this to happen. But they're too busy going Democrat, Republican, that they can't see for themselves that they need to come together for the American people. And then at the end, why did you have that gun, sir? It is my constitutional right to me to bear arms. Okay. That is probably the only thing that you know about the Constitution. You need to read the entire Constitution, because there's a lot of parts of the Constitution that wasn't written for men, weren't written for people of color. But you need to read the Constitution. Read it. Read it and understand. Know the history of this country. And the other thing that bugs me while I got my mind on it is when we hear these same people, again, these Christians who own guns, who go out, are fully racist and kill people, and they say, why don't you go back to your own country? Well, the last time I checked, you're from somewhere else as well. Your ancestors was from somewhere else as well. The only people that are indigenous to this particular country, North America, are the Indians and some Africans, because Africans were traveling the world hundreds of years before Christopher Columbus did it. Check your history on that. If you don't believe that, check your history on that. That's one piece of information I'm going to give you to start your research. So think about that. I can't keep sharing information like that because I want you guys to go out and look for it. You should know American history. You should know world history. They took it out of schools for a purpose, because more and more people started becoming conscious of a lot of things. all the way back to the Egyptian times, the pyramids, everything. There's a lot of history out there that was definitely trying to be erased. But fortunately, there was a lot that was left behind, and the stuff that was left behind, I truly believe that the Lord himself left it in such a way that it could be pieced back together so that we would know what the deal was. Think about that. Think about that. Debbie Brown says it best. And I am totally in agreement 100%. And that is knowledge is power. And knowledge is the one thing that no one can take from you. They could take your job. They could take your car. They could take your clothes. They could take your house. They could take whatever, but they can't take what you know up here. It's just like me, a technology specialist for 30 plus years right now. They can't take the knowledge I have up here as it relates to technology and IT and all that. I still have it. And I will always have it. So when you get these situations where you really need to do research, start with yourself, take it back, really find out what the deal is. And then you will be surprised at what you find. And you'll be surprised also at what was worked so hard to be hidden. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed. So check it out. But I'm getting off track. Going back to the Constitution and the Second Amendment. Take your time to review the Constitution. Take your time to understand the whole thing about this country and where it is. When people say, go back to where you came from, ask them, are you indigenous? That's all you got to do is ask them that one word. They probably won't be able to answer it because most of the people that I've known that I've asked that after they said that, they couldn't answer it. Because I'm going to be honest with you, they were so in tune with saying something that they were taught by somebody else that they didn't even know what indigenous meant. So that's crazy. Isn't that crazy? But you can go out here and repeat something like that. Just think about it. Think about it. So today I wanted to talk about God and the Constitution. And I've plugged in on both because you got these people that say they are Christians, but they're killing their own brothers and sisters or killing God's children. And just by you killing God's children, one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not kill, that means you already committed sin. So what you're going to do, go kill and keep killing and then go back and repenting and asking for forgiveness? At some point, God's going to say, you know what? You're killing people, so let me go ahead on and kill you. Take you out of here. Think about that. You got to stop your mess. Stop doing the things that you do and think you can do it without consequence. Don't play with God. I think Wendell said it once before. Don't try God. Don't test God. If you truly believe in a higher power, you should understand that there is something bigger than you out here that can take you out. Divine intervention is crazy if you believe in the power of it. Believe me, it is there and it's real. Constitution, Second Amendment. People get out here and they say, you are, I got my guns and I'm protected by the Second Amendment. And because I have these guns, I could go out here and do whatever. No, you can't. No, you can't, because it clearly said security. Security is synonymous with protect. Protect, not go out here and hunt for the people and kill them. That means that if someone breaks into your house, you have the right to protect yourself and your family. If you are out and about somewhere and you are out there and someone tries to attack you, you have the right to protect yourself. But that don't mean that just because you have a gun on your side and you see a person of color down the street, or you see a white person on the street, or you see a Mexican person on the street, or you see Asian person on the street, that you can go and just kill them. That's not what that is. And if you have that in your mind, you need to get it out of your mind, because that's really, really sick. And again, that goes back to what I said about re-examining yourself. And that would be my homework for you. Take the time to ask yourself this one question. Do you judge people by the color of their skin? Do you really, really hate people because of the color of their skin? And if the answer is yes, and you got to be totally 100% honest with yourself now, because then you're lying to yourself otherwise. If the answer is yes, and it's true, and it's really, really true, even if you try to block it in your heart, something in your heart says, yes, you are. Your highest power speaks to you and says, yes, you are. You need to fix that. You need to fix that. There's always a second chance to things. But there are some things that if you act upon, you can't go back. You can't go kill a person and try to take that back. Because even if you are exonerated by the system, that's still going to always be in your mind that you did that. And at some point, it's going to take you over. So keep that in mind. Let me just read back through these comments real quick. My wife said they don't want us to know, and we won't, and of course we won't read. And I mentioned her situation a few weeks ago that she had at Walmart, a racist situation, which, you know, I was like, wow, this is really amazing. And then she says, when I try to teach them, I'm scrutinized. Yep. When she tries to teach history, Black history, for example, she is scrutinized for it. Why? Why is that? Why is that? Why should a teacher be scrutinized for teaching Black history? We're a major part of this country. Why? Another question to be asked. When I grew up, in my class, there was Black history. PS 44, PS 356. There was Black history. We get down here, or as we get older, nope, gone. Debbie Brown said, Black history has been scrubbed from the history books and all of us from the beginning. I know you can't repeat this, but most of this, let me see, with all those big guns and tiny, I won't say the rest of that. Let's just say that she has a problem as it pertains. Oh my God, girl, you are crazy. Thanks, Debbie. I appreciate that, though. Sarah Mathis says, every life they have taken, they will give an account for it. True that. True Christians should not ever have to hate against anybody. People hate us because we were born Black. True statements. True statements. Me, I'm just happy that, and see, I feel that I can talk about it because I'm not that type of person. I care less about your color. I love all people. I have some of my best buddies, you know, we get together, we talk about all kinds of stuff. I don't care what color you are. Like my mom taught me, as long as they treat you well and you treat them well, all is good. When they don't treat you well or whatever, you isolate yourself and you keep it moving, because they mean you no good at that point. They mean you no good at that point. And that I've always lived by that. I've always lived by that. And it's worked for me. So Debbie, you're crazy. So, um, I know I've been talking for a while now, so it's time for me to go. I've been over 50 minutes. But I just wanted to put that out there because I definitely said that I would talk about God and the Constitution. And again, if you call yourself a Christian, be a Christian, a real Christian. Don't be one of these that you are going out here, you're calling yourself a Christian, and then you're going out here and doing the devil's work. Plain and simple. And then the Constitution wise, if you want to do something as it relates to the Constitution, read more about the Constitution and make it and help be a catalyst to make it work for all people, not just some people, all people. Because we are all Americans. Americans. Just call me American. When you say Tim's American, I'm good. DJ Square Knot is American. That's what you call me. Now, I got another topic that's going to come up, and that's related to some of the things that's been going on and some of the organizations that specifically call out, but then you only see that happen half the time. So we'll definitely be talking about that as well. But I want you guys to know that I appreciate you. I appreciate you joining in. I appreciate your replies and your input. And it just goes for, I like to put the information out there and put my thoughts out there and not let it be one-sided, because I want to learn from you, just as if there's something that I may put out that you can learn from me. We should do this together as brothers and sisters, as Americans, as humans, so that we can make this world better on our own. Because we can't right now at the current state, we can't get that from anywhere. And I'm not only talking about people of color, I'm talking about everybody, because there's just as many whites and other ethnicities that don't like this administration as people of color. So we band together. And I said like this, for example, with this current situation and the way this current administration has really promoted and allowed this racism situation to get out of hand, it's time for them to go. And if you get all the people that were doing all the protesting in all those streets that we saw, the hundreds of thousands of people of all races coming together, and they vote to can this administration and get a new administration in there. And then we let this new administration know that, hey, check it out. You're not getting any pass either. You're going to do what we need you to do. Otherwise, you're out of here as well. I think we'd be better off, because at some points we got to get a hold on a couple things. Number one, this pandemic, which has killed so many, and, rest in peace to all of them, and God rest in their families. And my prayers go out to all these families who have lost, including my own. And it's just ridiculous for the way that things are right now. And then this other thing, racism, how it has just really it's just been super terrible. So I just want to say thank you for your time on that. I'm going back to the box again, the chat box again. Wendell said Pharisees. Yeah, correct. Debbie Boone said, great researched information, greatly appreciate it. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Sarah said, enjoyed you and the good information that was shared here tonight. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Amanda Winston In schools today, they don't want kids to know about where their ancestors worked and how they were slaves and slept with masters, etc., and know our rights as African Americans and how we created different inventions were very talented and intelligent people. And there's fact to that. And nearly everything. Here's another tidbit of information for you, and this is confirmed research. Nearly everything that is in use today, if you go back and you look at it, you do the research on it, it was invented, believe it or not. I'm not saying everything. I said nearly everything. All the major stuff. Everything as opposed to what you use in your house to cook with. Driving down the street and street lights. Electricity. All kinds of different things. The way buildings are built. All of that. That was all created by a person of color. Do your research. It's there. They tried to erase it, but there's always secrets out there to make sure that it didn't all get erased. So, yeah. Oh yeah. That's, hey, Wendell, you are tapping into one of my next topics. And Wendell said, topic of discussion, why do we hate ourselves? And we're talking about people of color. And we will definitely talk about that. Pedro, I appreciate that, my brother. Why do we hate ourselves? And what he means by that is we are constantly killing ourselves, killing each other. For what? But that's another topic. We're going to let that one go. But Wendell, when I do that one, if you want, man, I will bring you on so that we can have a back and forth conversation on that. That would be great, because that right there, I think I need to have a panel of people on here so that we can all talk about this and see where we go, because I've already mentioned that when it comes to the things that have been going on, especially with law enforcement against people of color and other people who are against people of color, it goes to this right here. How can we expect other races to respect us and care about us if we don't care about ourselves? Think about that. How can we expect other races to care about us and respect us if we don't care about ourselves? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You're going to find this kind of stuff on Square Not Live podcast. You know, I told you I was going to keep it real with y'all. And that's my goal. That is truly my goal, to make sure that you understand where I am with this. I want this to be real. I want it to be thought-provoking. And we're going to have some fun too. But I think there's a lot of topics that we need to talk about of the things that's going on today. And when I'm sitting down and I'm researching and doing all these different things, it just blows my mind that I have to hold a lot of stuff in. And then I'm like, you know what? Why should I hold it in? I need to talk about this. So that's the deal there. And okay, we got DJ Black Rob. He said he'd be on that panel. Mixmaster TLC said he'd be. He said facts. Debbie. Woo wee, girl, you something else. It's not all them, believe it or not. Wendell Newkirk said cool. He'll be on there. Sharon Bennett said amen. We got Gerard, DJ, Mr. Showtime. He said facts. So yes, we're definitely gonna talk about that, because we definitely need to talk about that. But I hope you guys have had a great time listening to this information. And you can research this information. This information is out there. It's all over the internet. You just have to dig. Just dig. Dig all the way back to the pyramids. Dig all the way back to the times of dig all the way back to the times of the Egyptians and big African nations and things of that nature. And I'm gonna hit you with one other thing. So we all in the Bible, we always say BC and then AD. BC is before Christ, and then we have AD, which is after death. Now, some people don't like to say this, but I'll say this too. Well, when we talk about BC and then we talk about AD, like this year, right now is 2020 AD. And what that means is that Christ, they say that in the beginning, the earth was without form and void. We're talking about Genesis, right? It starts off that way. And it gets to the point where it says, let there be light, right? So we're talking about 2020 years ago, because we all say that that's how old the earth is. But that's not true. Because what do we say about the dinosaurs? The dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. Have we not said that? Or even if we say, some people say millions, some people say thousands, but there is this thing that says over 4,500 years ago. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's look that up. Let's look it up real quick, because I want you guys to, let's see. The last dinosaurs. Last dinosaurs on Earth. Right here, it says the last dinosaurs on Earth were approximately 65 million years ago. So if the last dinosaurs on Earth were 65 million years ago, and then we also had what we call the caveman back then, right? 65 million years ago. Think about, I'm just bringing this to you for thought now. And we're talking about 2020, as the earth is only 2020 years old. There's some fallacies in there. So I'll leave it there and let you do your own research with all this other stuff. But just know that you have to always look at the bigger picture of everything, and then go forward. You get what I'm saying? I'll leave that there, because that's a whole nother topic. That could be a whole nother podcast. So, but the next podcast, we can talk about, we'll tap into, why do we hate ourselves? We'll tap into that. We're going to have a panel. Right now, I see that DJ Black Rob said he would be on it, and also DJ Quick on the Mix said that he would be on there. If there are any others, I would like some females. But just keep in mind, when we have this conversation, we're going to keep this conversation to a point where we're just really being true and honest about the information, and we're going to put it out there and we're going to share it. Now, just keep it in mind. If you don't feel like you can talk and have it out in public, don't come here, because it's going out there. I just like to keep it real. Debbie Brown said she'll come on. Come on. That's good. That's good. Now, as it relates to Square Knot Live podcast, I usually try to do the podcast every Thursday. I've been a little late about it, but I try to do it every Thursday. But if that doesn't work for everyone, what we can do is we can all get together. We can inbox each other. and we can talk about it. I can even share the link with you guys right now, and then I'll drop off of Facebook, and then we can talk about it, and then we can decide on what date. So you guys tell me what you want to do. Pedro said he's in as well. So let's make this an event to where we can definitely have a good conversation about this, because I really believe that this is something that needs to be spoken about. And on that note, I will just say I appreciate you guys again. I appreciate you really chiming in. This has been good. And yes, please, like Black Rob said, please share, because for those people that you may have heard talking about these God, they're Christians, but they're doing the wrong thing, or they're talking about the Second Amendment rights, but they're going out and getting all these guns to hurt people or whatever. Share this with them so that they can at least try to listen to this and see what the deal is, because they really need to understand the stuff that's going on. You get what I'm saying? They really need that. And hopefully something will ring in their head. Something will help change their mindset to where then something will open up their eyes and they can come down and they can sit down and have a conversation, because I want to have a conversation with everybody, because we have to fix things for ourselves. I'm starting to see that's the way we have to do it until we can get some real help at the administration level. And then also keep in mind this: make sure you register to vote and you vote. And number two, your change is most effective at the local level. Your change is most effective at the local level, not at the presidential level, at the local level. So make sure that when you vote, make sure you do your research on all the candidates that are running for these local offices, and then make good informed decisions, as opposed to just going out here and listening to what people say. Because if you listen to what people say, especially on TV with all these different ads and everything right now, you'd be so confused, man. And you just be like, you know what, I'm just going to vote for whoever, just because. But if you take time to research and learn about these different candidates, you'll put the right people in office that will work for you, the people, or us, the people, not for their buddies that are sitting there lacing their pockets, because I can't tell you the number of politicians that have approached me and they said, oh yeah, how you doing? And then they see that I'm a Mason and they go, yeah, I'm this, I'm that. And the first thing I say is, what can you really do for me? What can you really do for the craft? What can you really do for this state? And they come and say, well, yeah, this typical, well, I want to do this for education. Okay, well, what do you want to exactly do for education? And then they'll go, well, we want to make sure that we get more funding for school. How about getting more funding for teachers so they get better pay? And then they're like, well, that's part of the, no, it's not. Because if it was, the teachers would be making a whole bunch more money right now. And they go, well, we tried to do that. We have done that through the lottery. No, you haven't. Because with the lottery, if that was the case, then teachers would be making way more money than they are right now. Salute to all the teachers out there. And then when they find out, I say, my wife's a teacher, so I know what they get paid. And she was at that time in the classroom for 22 years. So I'm like, come on, let's get real. Let's get real about this thing. Politicians will feed you anything until they get there to get what they want so that they can get in there. And along with that, another thing that I'm going to talk about when it comes to politicians, because I'm going to have a whole politics podcast. And the one thing that I'm going to talk about as it relates to politics is this: term limits. I might get in a lot of trouble because I feel like this. If the president can only serve 8 years, why can a senator or a congresswoman or congressman serve 30, 40, 50 years? when you have someone sitting in office that long, things tend to stay the same. There's no change. It's only when things are rotating out and on a mandatory basis that the potential is greater for things to change. New ideas, new blood, new energy change is in there, and it helps it change and works for the people of that particular time, the generation prior to them, the generation of now, and the generation of the future. That's how that works. If you got someone that's in there for 30, 20, 30, 40 years, it's not going to work. So if the president can only serve 8 years, that should be the max for everybody, period. That's just my thought. I'm just saying that's going to want to be in my hashtag, period. I'm just saying. So let me stop. I was supposed to get off this thing a few minutes ago, but now I have more comments, and the comments are, of course, Black Rob said, please share. And I ask you, please like, love, and share this for me, please. Share it to as many people as you can. And please visit my podcast. You can now catch me on, let me see. You can catch me on a bunch of different ones, but I want to make sure that I read them all to you. You can catch me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, Deezer, Listen Notes, and any RSS feeds. And I'm also coming on Apple Music, and I'm also coming on Pandora and iHeart Music. And this morning I did an example to where you can actually bring me in on Alexa, and you can do that by saying, Alexa, tune in podcast, Square Not Live, and it'll just play all of my episodes. So check that out. But please, Deborah said 224 and 22 million years as it relates to the dinosaur situation, and also the age of the earth. So there's a whole bunch of things that we have to understand when we're reading what we're reading there and what it is. And then there's a whole nother story and a whole nother set of books. There's a whole bunch of stuff. All right, let me get out of that because I'll be here all night. Let me see. We got Deborah Myers, aka the legendary hip hop royalty, DJ Baby D of the Mercedes Ladies. What's up? Good to see you. They are the reason some are turning from Christ. That is true. Exactly. Kevin, DJ Big Scully said, yes, only 3% of the lottery money goes to schools. That is a shame. 3%. It should be, if anything, it should be 90% minimum that goes to these schools. Then we won't have to have where they come up with these lists and you got to send all this stuff in to help these classrooms out. I'm like, where's all this money going? That's crazy. Term limits. Indeed, Baby D, for real. Definitely set in there always because it's long. They know that they can make that money. And anytime you're in a job where you can vote for your own raise, approve your own raise, but not pay your military, but 3%, or pay teachers, that's crazy. And then also this whole thing about campaign funds. These candidates raise millions, almost billions of dollars in some cases, right? And they run ads. Why not contribute that money to neighborhoods that are struggling, to get them on their feet, to build them up, build up these neighborhoods so that people have places to live and build communities. But instead, millions and millions of dollars to just browbeat and just bash somebody. What in the world is wrong with this country? Something else to think about. I know we'll talk about a lot. Let me stop. Sarah Mathis says she agreed. Keith Darden said, very true. Woo, you're going to have to inbox me the links. Sure, I will definitely do that, Baby D, for sure. I would be glad to have you on there. Sarah Mathis says she shared. I appreciate you sharing that. That's the she said that's the wrong numbers. Wrong numbers. Sorry. Yeah, because I like I said, 65 million years ago was the last dinosaurs on Earth. So that means that it was older than that. But we talk about from 2000, from AD 1 all the way to 2020. So keep that in mind. And then let me see. We got DJ Mike L. He came on and said, what's good? What's up, man? So again, I know I've been talking quite a long time, and I really appreciate when you guys come on. This is Square Knot Live. I'm your man, DJ Square Knot. And I do this podcast. I try to do it every Thursday. I took off a couple weeks, but I am going to do my best to stay on track going forward, especially now that I am on all these different places, and I'm getting analytics where a lot of people are really starting to listen to me now. And I get these analytics every week, and I'm getting all these congratulatory analytics and kudos from the actual host, the podcast host, saying about how many people have downloaded that in a particular week, and the numbers are looking pretty good. So I really appreciate that, and that just tells me that people are enjoying the information that's out there, and it's people that come in and assist me, like yourselves, who make this even better, because of course I mention you in the podcast. So these are permanent parts. These podcasts, you are a permanent part of these podcasts when I mention your name. So that is really good. And I really appreciate your time and your energy and your inputs with it, because I never want these to be one-sided. I just really, really like to have an in-depth conversation. So, and because I do these through Zoom for the purpose of, if someone wants to come and join in and join in on the conversation, they can. And also I can also set it up to where you can actually call me, and you call me and I will actually have you play through my phone into the system as well. And you'll hear me you'll hear them just like you hear me. And you can check that out with my very first podcast that I did with Antonio McLeod, aka Hotep, who spoke about he's the self-proclaimed ghostwriter for Tupac and Biggie. If you have not heard that, go back and check that one out as well. That's all I'll say about that. And let's see. This is like when the Rev preaching past 1 p.m. on Sunday. You are so right, Baby D. So, but yes, again, I appreciate you guys. And I thank you again. And we will definitely do this next Thursday. And the rest of you, I will send you the link. I got, so let me just make sure that I got that. I got Baby D. I got Black Rob. I got Quick on the Mix. Debbie Brown. And let me see. If there's anyone else who wants to join in, please let me know, inbox me, and we'll make it happen. But until then, I say, please be safe. Follow the simple protocols, wear your masks, do social distancing. Don't be inconsiderate. Just know that anytime you just think about yourself, especially in this particular situation, pandemic, when you're entering into organizations, establishments or whatever, and you see everyone else has a mask on and you don't have yours on, that is being inconsiderate. And the reason behind that is because you could be the carrier and be asymptomatic. So now the potential there is, even though we have a mask on, which doesn't protect us from the virus, it actually reduces the spread coming from us, coughs and sneezes or whatever. Just keep that in mind. You could be asymptomatic and then mess around and infect the whole daggone place. Keep that in mind as well. And on that note, I appreciate you. thank you guys. And we want to say have a good night. And just really get some good rest, y'all. Enjoy. I am logging out now. So let me just do this, and that'll be that. Take care.